You've been associated with it right from the beginning of your career.
I remember the first day when I got an appointment letter from Telco, the old Telco. Actually, I was doing a machine tool design course in an IIT Chennai, and I was thinking that I was being selected for a machine tool design office in Telco. I didn't realize that the appointment letter, they might have already written Engineering Research Center on the top. When I came to Pune, I realized that it is for Engineering Research Center and not for machine tool design. For a moment, I was not sure whether I was happy or not. I was probably a little taken aback. Then I was hearing many things about, there has not been any proper automobile design in India as such. And it's a good opportunity, and got excited that probably we are going to be one of this team which is going to make the seeds for automobile design in India. That's how I probably consoled and cajoled myself and started reconciling to the situation.
This was in 71?
It was in 71.
Yeah.
And we were one of the few PGTs who were in place already at that time. And I was put in transmission design straight away. At that time, neither vehicle design nor anything didn't start actually. I vaguely recollected we were doing off-the-highway vehicles to start with. They were probably making some front-end loader prototypes, forklift prototypes and such things. So I got into some sort of a transmission design. How does it look like? In fact, I had not seen any automobile gearbox in my life earlier. So fortunately, the training program, whatever they had arranged for us, consisted of a complete 5-month swim in an introductory training to automobile itself. For example, first 3-4 months we were put on even training division hostel, or rather hostel, the training division premises itself, where we would try to do filing, machine shop, grinding and a little bit of welding here and there, to get used to the engineering frame of mind, because you are going to work with your own hands. Afterwards, we were sent to Jamshedpur Works for about 3 months first and then 2 months later to have a complete go at what's being produced there. So we were probably introduced to research engineering. A small ERC cell was there. From there we went to assembly section, gearbox, chassis, frame, painting, all over, try to understand what after all is an automobile design per se, what we have to do. So that was a very good basic foundation with which we all were subjected to, and we enjoyed that 5-6 months there outside. Suddenly go and started living your student days themselves, started learning. And when we came back, we started working on the regular different departments of ERC. At that time, probably there was only one vehicle design possibly, trying to understand the chassis and all that, what they have to do. And there was some small shop floor attached to that, a fabrication shop and a small assembly shop and such thing. We were given a very nice training in the initial months. Like that, we spent almost like 2 years as a training, and we were absorbed at that time as a regular engineer in the development programs of ERC. That happened probably in 1973, and as you know, in 1969 the collaboration with Daimler had ended, and we were to be on our own. So the management thought that we should have our own vehicle design. What is it to be done? Which vehicle we have to do? Earlier there used to be the only one type of truck, one with a nose, you might have seen. The engine is totally at the front, and another is tucked in, where the frontal face is flat, like our current A's and all that you might have seen. We used to call it as LP truck, where there is no nose, and the L truck, where there is a big nose, the engine is at the front. There are two types of trucks which Daimler was making for India. We were trying to understand what we should do. We were all raw. We were having no influence of any of this whatsoever going on. I remember those days we had some sort of a brainstorming, what needs to be done. Since we are all new, we started all sorts of questions, including a lot of silly ones. Then we also visited some of these operators. We went out and talked to people, truck operators. go to the dealer point, some sort of a roadside and understand what is it they like in our truck and they don't like. After a lot of initial chit chat and study, we realized that people don't like the whole nozzle vehicle, what is called L, and some people don't like the frontal face. You know, for a given length of the vehicle, for a given length, if you put a nose, then the available load body length becomes less, whatever you can load. For a given length, if the engine is all tucked in and a flat face, then the load body length increases for a given overall length of the vehicle. So we came to understand that all the owner-driven vehicle, they want some sort of a more body length. Forget about whether the driver is at the front is unsafe or not. They want a maximum load body for a given length. There are drivers who may not be owners. They said, sir, this is very accident prone. In case of a frontal hit, we are the one first to die. So we don't like this frontal flat face. We want only the nose. It protects us. So there is a driver's choice and there is a owner's choice. We got confused what to make. So we all discussed and found that there is a via media that you don't have a big nose, you don't have a flat front, you have halfway through. It means that you can have a slightly better load body than a nosed vehicle or a smaller load body with a flat-faced vehicle, but adding a more safety to this. We call it as SFC, semi-forward control. The nose wala called normal control, the frontal is called full forward control, and we said why not make a semi-forward control with the engine at the front but not so much protruding out. So it's a via media for both driver as well as the owner's vehicle preferences. We got into that design on board. That was in 1974 if I recollect. So our design office, when we call it as a semi-forward, we took the original chassis, whatever we were making in L and LP, move the driver a little forward compared to the nosed vehicle, make a shorter nose, redesign the whole vehicle, and that was, I believe, this is the first indigenously designed Indian truck. And all those people who are designing that, I would say the age of those, average age will not be more than 35, 40. 40 also maybe one or two people, most of them are all 30s. And I think it is a lovely concept to start with, accepted, not done earlier in India. And we had made that complete design. We call it as 12-ton SFC. Even today, the half-nosed vehicle is only Tata vehicles make maximum of that. Many of the other people still continue to have only frontal nozzle face. If you see, just to give an example, let's say for example the Dost, you might have seen that Ashok Leyland Dost. Even though it's a frontal face, they had a small nose in between, in the front. Whereas our cases in 407, 608, a lot of 13, 12 timber vehicles, we have got a semi-forward control, still playing a very good role in the Indian styling of trucks. That's how we started. I recollect after getting confirmation, I was put in the vehicle testing first instead of the design. Now I was at the end of the prototype. At that time, the cab, they didn't have a cab. The whole frontal face only will be there. The driver's compartment will be totally open. I don't know whether you might have seen. There's a drive-away chassis we call. That is from the plant to the dealer. It goes like an open chassis. You might have seen even today. And people used to build their own bodies. So we never used to build bodies on our own in big numbers. We used to make sometime on a specific request, but that was not our main production. So I was asked to drive this vehicle from Pune to Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur was ERC. Of course, I took two drivers, but I was sitting as a part of the one more wooden seat. Wooden seat by the side and one more wooden seat on the driver. Driver we got from Jamshedpur. And we went from here to Bombay, then Ahmedabad, Jaipur, Jaisalmer, Delhi, then Allahabad, Gaya, Kasi, Patna, then to Calcutta and Jamshedpur. We made almost like a 10-15 days trip, something more like a pilgrimage, because we started visiting temples on the way. And imagine, when I was supposed to take a driver from Jamshedpur. And at that time, I was warned, the Jamshedpur, those areas, people are quite very, strong, and they will not cooperate very much. You be careful with them and all that. But surprisingly, those two gentlemen, even now I remember, they were terrors in those days during their testing inside telco, let's say. But the fact that they are driving the first indigenously designed vehicle, they are the first to drive on road, take them along. By the time I called them and I was alone from Pune, the remaining two people from Jamshedpur, and imagine they got emotionally so much attached to that. They loved driving. It's totally different picture of what I compared to what I had earlier. We had a very nice trip at that time.
How many kilometers?
This must have at least about 2,500 kilometers over a period of almost like 15 days possibly. So every
12, 10 to roll out of.
First SFC on a chassis. In fact, I got some more photos of that. Everywhere people used to clock together and crowd used to see, hey, first time our Indian vehicle. Can you imagine that? So I am reminded of this incident later on in Delhi in 1998 when our Indica was unveiled to the public. Indica, I don't know how many people know already, that is the first indigenously designed and produced vehicle. So when the Indica was launched, or rather unveiled in the Delhi Auto Show, you won't believe many people shed tears of joy. That it is our vehicle, whether it is a Maruti man or a Mahindra man or whoever, they shed tears of joy because it is our vehicle, indigenously produced vehicle, Indian made vehicle. That sense of pride, I can imagine that, and that's what these two drivers had 25 years earlier when they started driving this SFC vehicle. I remember that. So of course we went all over, and of course one is design and getting attached to design and all that, and another is a family, personal life, how you are getting slowly attracted and emotionally attached to Tatas. I still remember one of my old association, why even today at the end of, let's say, almost like 40-45 years of association, I am still attached to Tatas and have not gone anywhere outside. The reason was a little, it's what I'm remembering that. Every time when I talk to people, I say this. I had an early marriage, and my first child had to be admitted in a hospital. My stipend was 750 rupees per month in 1973, and the child was to be put in an incubator after delivery, immediately after delivery, and the charges of about 105 rupees per day. And I did not know what to do. I didn't even know that I should ask the company, because we were not covered under insurance or anything those days. So one day, the local head, our head of Pune operations, called me in the morning. I never knew him, he never knew me. He called me to his office. He said, I understand there is some problem in your family. I said, what? I said, your child is in hospital? Yes. I say, I got a message from chairman,
From chairman, yeah.
Mr. Mulgaonkar, that he has told me that I must take care of it.
He came to know. Yeah.
I don't know how he came to know. Somebody might have told him. A chairman of a company, remembering a 2-year-old trainee has got a problem, and he's telling MD of that company, or maybe he is a joint MD, or I don't remember, Mr. Jagadda. He said, he has given me a blank check to take care of your child. I really started crying. Even now, when I remember, I am basically an emotional man. So, such is the attachment of Tatas. So, on that day, I took a call. Come what may, I am with Tatas. So, having said that, so this is what is always telling me, come what may, you have to be, and I am attached to Tata. After retirement also, I had many offers. People requested me to come and set up there, but I politely said, sir, I can't move out of Tata's. For everybody it could be a bread earner or something like that. People, those generation we used to say that. He's much more than that. So I have seen so many instances where the top level of Tata Group people have come to the help of the most needed persons without even asking. So that culture is something which you don't see outside. So I just deviated from that. So I was involved in the first indigenous truck. So then came, I was transferred to a department called product evaluation. There was product evaluation. The name was given later. The birth of that was also quite an interesting one. I was in outdoor section, outdoor vehicle testing. One day the director of ERC called different heads of section heads and said, can you give me one name each from each department who is very good in their work, emotionally attached to whatever they are doing, and give me some names. Everybody was asking, why are you asking that name? You don't worry. I want to understand who are the best people in each section. So everybody thought that they are going to get awarded or something like that. They gave one name each. Next day a circular came saying that all these 5 people or 10 people have been taken out from their parent department. A new section is formed called product evaluation. The purpose of that was, there is a link between ERC and the actual users, consumers in the field. Originally all those complaints or anything or good points about your product, how it performs, we used to get feedback from service department and sales and marketing. Somehow some team, some higher ups, they felt that we need a very analytical approach of all the problems. What are the solutions available, why there is a problem, somebody should go and study it. So probably a technical team to assist the service department as well as the feedback getting into ERC could be of a better thing to do. So they formed a department.
This was people from within the ERC?
Within ERC, every design department, transmission, engine, testing and all, one for one. Yeah. If I say I want to take you and form a new department, probably the design head would not have agreed. But with a suspense, they simply took one for each and formed a department. I said, you people are the link between field and ERC. You go to the field, go to the customers, go to the dealer, go to state transport departments and find out what's going wrong, what do they like, what do they don't like. Come and give that information to ERC directly, to the design office, so that they can improve their design, they can find out, you can give your own solutions and all that. That is how it was formed. But the design office, when they left us, they felt a little sort of cheated because they have taken the best people out of that and formed another department. Anyway, it was a very, very interesting field in the sense the area of activity included something more than what you are doing it in ERC. You are doing physically understanding what's wrong, what could be the solutions, the solutions they offered by even some good mechanics in the shop. You will never think probably like that. A different way of thinking emerged out and it came very well. And of course, there are some human issues in the sense there is always a resistance to change in some people's mind. So, the types of feedbacks coming, somebody will say, no, this is not the reason. Somebody will say, this solution we know already. So, somebody will try to defend their own designs. But somehow, this did not take up so much the important what it deserved. And it continued for about almost 5 years. I was there for almost 5 years in such a department.
So you have to go out to different places.
Exactly. Our primary aim is to go to all consumers and in the field itself directly. Along with service department, some people they accompany us, some people we go on their own. Some people will say that there is a problem like this, we don't know, we want some ERC's help to study and evaluate what can be done and all that. So we used to go along with our own designers also, or some sort of a production people and all that, and try to understand what are the solution and give the feedback back to the design office. So that was a way. In that process, I had the opportunity of traveling all over India, right from Kashmir, Himachal and all that up to down below. We were also involved in evaluating the product internally during vehicle testing. So what it means is the vehicles which are tested probably with the customers, we used to go and test the vehicles along with the customer, individual customers, maybe some trucking companies, maybe some bus dealers, maybe some operators in the field and all that, you know. I used to go some of the sand vehicles where we were trying to operate in deserts. I remember one or two instances saying that we went to Rajasthan. I was told there are 5-6 people from this department will go alternatively test our sand vehicles. Sand vehicle means the vehicles meant for operating in deserts.
I see.
So off-road vehicle, no, on the deserts, you know, from the Rajasthan, from Jaipur to Barmer, suppose you want to carry some goods on the way to all the food grains to all the villages. People operate through the desert.
These are LCV, MCVs.
Oh, this is a HCV.
HCV.
HCV itself. At that time, I recollected first time we ventured into a special purpose design for desert operation. Different tires, different types of work and all that. We had gone there on that day only the first the bomb was exploded program, Pokhran. Pokhran was, we were there at that time. I didn't even remember, I came to know after 3 days. I was there from 10 kilometers from there, but I did not know. There was no radio, nothing, we were deep in the desert. So at the time there was a railway strike also. We used to, there was a railway strike, George Fernandez, you know, remember those days, and we went by different trucks to those places. And I remember we couldn't even get luggage for transporting from this side to that side, because we need to carry, you know, we are going to test our vehicles. So what we did was, we tried to engage some local transport man, tell him that we will pay you a diesel, you give all your paddy, everything, we will take our vehicle and deliver it to all the villages up to Barmer. We made an understanding from them. But how to load and unload those grain things? We said you give us your manpower. We tried some via media to reduce the expenses, and we were testing in the whole complete 1.5 months I was in the desert. Actually, when I came back to Pune, even the Sambhaji Park I used to go daily, because I never used to go to park. After spending 1.5 months in desert, every single tree used to be so lovely. Even I used to tell, "Arey, such a lovely leaf here in this tree." I never used to even admire those things. My wife used to say, "What happened to you?" So, but one thing that happened is, I remember there was one small accident took place. You remember Ajit Phatak? You know, we two were there. I relieved him and I came back. Next day, the vehicle overturned in a desert. You know, he tried faster. I do not know what has happened. 2-3 people who were sitting in the body of the truck got injured.
Okay.
Immediately we got a message. Before I could come to Pune, my director called me. "Hey, what the hell you are doing there? The vehicle turned, 2 people got injured. Who asked you to engage those people?" So like that he started. I said, in order to reduce the expenses, we did that. Because otherwise we can't load and unload those. Then finally there was a court case, and then we were exonerated finally. So anyway, that was one good experience. Similarly, we had a high altitude test in Kashmir and Jammu Kashmir also. I was there in the deep winter. So that was in the proper Kashmir Pahalgam side. At that side, that was a very nice experience as a testing engineer. Then it came that I came back in 79 suddenly. Afterwards, one day our MD called me again, local. "Your name is Balasubramaniam, you know?" I said, "Yes." "Chalo, you are the man." He asked me to sit in front of him. He said that I was coming from Bombay. I was counting the Leyland vehicle and Tata vehicle, how many I see while coming. 2-3 months ago, I used to see 8 Tata vehicles and 2 Leyland vehicles. Now, in the last 2 weeks, I am seeing 6 Tata vehicles and 4 Leyland vehicles. It means that there is some issue with us. I said, why are you telling me this? I did not know. I said, our 1516, whatever is the reason, it's a good vehicle, but it is not selling much. Maybe it's highly priced. 1210, yes, but we want a higher, we want to make a new vehicle, but I don't have time. I am going to put you in charge of this. One person from ERC, one person from growth, one person from finance, supplier, etc. Yeah, 10-member team I am forming. You will be directly reporting to us. Now, you are going to make a vehicle taking parts from 1516 or from 1210 and make an intermediate vehicle. And if you choose any other new part, you have to get my permission to make a new vehicle. Whether you will take frame of 1210 or a frame of 1516, you decide. Make a vehicle, people should buy it, it should look like a new vehicle, and you are a 10-member team. You drive and everybody will be report to me and how you are going to make a vehicle. And I want this vehicle in 12 months. This was the 10-member team he formed. Then when I came back to ERC, I realized that it is a very hard task, because for a young engineer of 30-35 to report to such a top man of Pune, short-circuiting so many people on the way was not heard of. Indirectly he meant that you have got a dotted line reporting to your own section people, all right. But dotted line means how much? Which is dotted, which is thick, ultimately you are responsible. So whatever we used to design something, there used to be resistance from different people. No, this is not going to work, that is not going to work, this cannot be made and all that. I am not taking names, but it's a challenge and how we worked, and we all enjoyed it. Nothing personal meant anywhere. You know, every day 4 o'clock, our engineers, the 10-member team will have to meet the number 1 man. We are going to say, sir, this, you make this frame, but make this cab, make a 1516 cab and put on 1210 frame, and make all the changes required for another engine, and try to make a vehicle. Somebody said this cannot be made in the E-block. Immediately, that production in charge used to say, sir, this can't be made. Immediately he used to say, that E-block corner in that machine, there is a man with a dadi and a specs. Can you come and meet me along with him? Pune in charge, he used to tell the production in charge, come and meet him with that man. He will go along with that man. So he will talk in Marathi, something. Hey, this can be made or not? Do you want to do like this? Sir, it can be made, I will do it. Chalo, both of you go. Similarly, when you go to a supplier, sir, this supplier is not available, somebody else will say. Hello, this opposite to Philips, there is a fellow with a shed. His name is some XY, I don't forgot. You go and tell him that I want to meet him. You come and meet me tomorrow at 12 o'clock. That fellow will meet. He will talk in Hindi. Sir, this is what I want. Do you have capacity or shall I give it to somebody else? No, sir, 15 days mein aap karke deta hu. Immediately you used to make. Something like that. This is what's called, the breaking the barriers and try to, and like that there are so many things. One particular incident also I remembered, cost reduction proposal. He says the target cost of this vehicle is only this much. So we did not know how to work out the cost and how is it going to work out. So a lot of engineering proposals of how to reduce the cost we did and try to reduce the cost. Afterwards, we tried to enter into negotiation with suppliers. We said that this lift spring for this model costs this much for this weight. Why should it cost this lift spring with a lesser weight this much more? We should negotiate and reduce the cost. Like that we started entering into that. He says, don't get into negotiations and all. You leave yourself with material cost and process cost only. Like that. Finally, we made that vehicle. In about 137 vehicles we made at the end of 1 year. And that is what's called, 1312 is a huge success. 1312 was made from a 1516 cab and a 12-ton frame, and everything else was managed to fit into that. Because the existing material and other thing, if you choose, that will reduce the cost and hasten up the introduction. So that was a very challenging situation for us, and I would say all those people in ERC, my bosses and all that, very supported very much, and chairman had given us 5,000 rupees per member as a price. That letter still I have. So that was a great idea. Then he says, when you move to design office, what are the proposals which I had done in the product evaluation department, which was not accepted. I remember I did it with a vengeance, and everything got implemented, and almost like 2,500 rupees per vehicle we could save. And everybody was, at the end of the day, was very happy.
That
And
department is not there now.
pardon?
Product evaluation is not there now.
Now I do not know, but somebody, what has happened is, there was some sort of duplication of work in that department. That is how it was probably later on perceived, because what a design solution to give, or what is the reason for a failure? Somebody will say design, or you see, for any failure, it can be design, manufacture, usage. The moment I say there is a design problem, obviously the human nature is that design man will not agree so easily. If you say operational issue, service department will come and say, no sir, we have to design for that also, no. Manufacturing, there is an issue, no, it was all okay. So it was a little tough call to pinpoint. It was, the intention was not to pinpoint actually, but what really happened is, probably people felt that it was transgressing into their areas, and probably it lost its momentum and importance. And afterwards, additional responsibilities were added to this department, like service tool design, writing manuals and such thing, what ERC normally did not do earlier. And I think the department may still be there, I don't know yet. But it's all started very well, and I was proud that I was part of that.
Yeah.
Then 1312 ke baare mein, and then it came 407. I was working on, at that time, lot of Japanese vehicles had entered the market with a 4-tonner range vehicle. If you recollect, Alvin Nissan or Eicher Canter or Swaraj Mazda, these are the people who have already come into the Indian market with 4 to 6 ton range, whereas we were working on heavier vehicles. So we said that we should get into this slot. Again the same LP versus SFC came, because all those Japanese vehicles, or of them, most of them are LP type, with a flat forged. We said that we should attempt a good baby SFC for us, and I remember those days, the first long member, immediately our director, Mr. Rao, who was KGK Rao, he's a very shrewd and very active man. If he decides to do something, it has got to be done immediately. He's so impatient, so nice retrospectively I am seeing. And he said the management wants to do a 4-tonner, enter into vehicles with competition from Japan. Let's do what to do. He says, you go to Blue Diamond Hotel. He said that, I remember that. He said there is 1 or 2 Japanese vehicles are standing outside. I asked somebody to hold that. You people go and study for half a day and come back, and day after tomorrow, one day you take, tell me how the frame is going to look like for our vehicles. I really enjoyed that. So we all rushed there with all excitement. We came back, and the long member basic scheme meant for SFC was ready in one day, next day. How to make all pencil sketches and dimension. He called his shop floor man. He's saying, this is the long member sketch. You make a long member and see how does it look like. Immediate. He used to come and sit in the shop floor himself. Even Miraj, the shop floor in charge, he used to remember, even last week also he was telling me. The complete front axle beam, he got it cut from a solid block. This is a forging of this shape. You can't so easily machine this. He was so excited, he doesn't want to wait for a casting, he doesn't want to wait for a forging, he can't make, but he wants to make a quick prototype and see how does it look like. So the whole beam was machined out of a block, never heard. So such was the, excitement to do something new. So the 407, we had completely made a lot of interactions, We can keep on talking about so many small incidents about it. And if you know, 407 bet all of them in the market. 407 is one of the top earners of Tata Motor family of vehicles from the beginning. You know, it completed about 25 years some time ago, about 3-4 years ago. So we had a good function and to remember all those. Here only in Lake House. So that was 407. Then formed a similar looking, 407 was a single tire rear axle. We said that why don't we jack it up to make a twin tire, that's some more reinforced version we will make. Different engine was formed, different systems were designed for that, and we made a 608 and 807 like that. There's a group of vehicles started making in those this thing. Then I think it went up to 84 and 86. Then that 407, I remember one more small incident. Of course, I always feel that. You see, the designers are all subject to a lot of subjective evaluation. Whatever you make, those days, very analytical tools for checking everything is right or wrong, whether the customer will or not, did not exist. Most of them were all pencil drawings, drawing boards. How much is the clearance between one part to another part? We used to draw it in different angles, project it and see everything with pencil and drawing board. So those days, for example, we were designing how to put the pedals, brake pedal, clutch pedal and accelerator pedal and all that. Whatever you do, we have to get it cleared by our testing people. I was in charge of, I was the designer, I will not say in charge. I would say the in charge of this system in engineering lead. So everybody used to say some comment on these pedals. Somebody will say, so this is not acceptable, this is too close, this is too wide, no, this is too much less. So it kept on changing. I got fed up. Why did I do that pedal? I should have done something different. Because you have to get it approved by the testing department. So I tried almost like 13 pedals, different shapes and different sizes, everything within the available space. The testing engineer was not accepting that also. So he was telling, no, another 5 degree more you slightly incline, it will be better.
This is on paper?
On the actual part.
Okay.
Design, made a prototype, and we were sitting in the cab and this say this is how it is. No, this is not good at all. You know, you have to make a little. Then I used to go and get it done, because this is not design something on the board. You have to do a preliminary thing and then fine tune it in the shop floor. That's how we used to do. I kept on doing it. No, nothing was acceptable to. If I accept it, somebody else comes and says it's not suitable. So a short man to tall man, fat man, ladies and boys, you know. I did not know what to do. I told the directors, I'm getting fed up. I don't know what to do. So finally, let's go and see. Sir, this is the final. That's all I can do. He came. Then the testing engineer told me, I think, why don't you do a little more 5 degree up? I feel my shoe is getting cut at the edge of the pedal. I got fed up. I said, sorry, I'm not going to. I don't know. Just now I did everything and you are 5 degree, it will make a difference. No. So our ERC director told me, I said, he's a testing engineer. He is the man who is going to approve. If he is not satisfied, very well you do this. He fired me. I said, quietly I took it, cut it and then 5 degrees and made another pedal and got it pitted and showed him. Now he said, okay, now it's okay. Now it's better, sir, we can go ahead. Sir, I told the director, I said, why don't you also sit and do it, will be good. He said, okay, now it's okay. Then I started laughing. I said, why are you laughing? I said, sir, I have not fitted the pedals yet, it is in my hand. Immediately, the testing engineer's face red-faced, and I did not know. I didn't mean that, but I said that is in my hand, I have not fitted it yet. These are all subjective. What is 5 minutes back not acceptable becomes acceptable to you. I only wanted to prove a point. No, don't play with me now. I said, I'm not playing, but you are playing with me. That's why I got fed up. And finally, whatever I had designed was accepted, even though there was a minus point, because the space available and everything is so limited, you can't do much more than what probably anybody could have thought, of course. So that incident I remember during those 407 days. Then came the Tata Mobile, because at that time, what shall I say? Our management wanted to get into car business, possibly. We didn't realize it. So chairman had said, why don't you make a car-derived van? Something like, we had made different concepts. One small vehicle, one car, one very small truck, one car-derived van. Tata Mobile you must have seen. The Xenon and all that, the big nose. That we call it as a L vehicle, a big nose with engine totally at the front. That looked like our old Mercedes car front. Basically the car front used to be like this. So it was that concept out of various concepts that was selected, and we tried to make a truck out of that, pickup van. There is a cab there is a frame and a load body separator. That we call it as the Tata Mobile pickup. That I was involved into that. Then afterward he told me, no, we should make a passenger out of this, passenger version out of it. It means that cab rear wall you cut it off, add a body and 2 rows of seats. You can put it and see how does it look like. Then he said, let's make a UV concept in India. UV means utility vehicle. It's more like a Jeepish. The Jeep, it looks like a fat front face and all that. That is how the Tata Mobile was converted into a utility vehicle profile, and that was what is called Sierra. Sierra was a sort of a stepping stone to one of the UV concept in India. The UV, typically utility vehicles and pickup, the whole floor and everything gets lifted up in a UV, it's a raised position, and bigger tire, and the front row, it has to be fold type, you don't get into another rear row of seat. That will become a typical other types. This is very two-seater, the old Herald car you see, go from the front end to the rear, something like that. So the rear, the Sierra, the rear seats were done like this, the third behind. Sierra was a good success to start with, but
That is a 4-door.
It's a 4-door. But this was a frame construction. Normally, the future cars which were coming, we used to have a monocoque.
Yeah.
There is no specific frame and other things. Whereas this vehicle was a car type vehicle built on a frame. To get into that business, this is all, I never realized this is all getting into slowly to car business. I think Tata Motors have spent quite a lot of energy and very, very right way of getting into things, getting it done. They didn't jump into car just like that. Probably our chairman wanted all engineers to learn from scratch, do from scratch, do mistakes, learn from that and pick up. That is how the talent of an Indian engineer has been built in, and Tata Motor has been leading into that. You see, you can always get some design and copy it.
Yeah.
Whereas Tata Motors, we have been doing everything. We make a lot of mistakes, and our management, I should say, have been very magnanimous in accepting all the mistakes in their stride. Every single product had some problem or other in the field, whether it is due to a design or a supply or a manufacturer or whatever. But Tata Motors have absorbed everything with great this thing and gave us complete freedom to recover from everything whatever we had done wrong. So that is a great thing to do. So similarly, this Tata Mobile and Sierra and Estate, we learned a lot of things into making India slowly into that car area. And then came the Sumo. Sumo, I remember, Sumo is the next model of a utility vehicle. We had made Tata Estate and Sierra and a Tata Mobile family as one. Of course, the sales were probably declining at that time. They suddenly said that why don't we make a cheaper looking rugged vehicle. That is how the Sumo concept had come. And actually Sumo was not initiated in ERC. Sumo originally, the concept that we should do like that, some other division like PE, they started this, PE, production engineering people. They said that Tata Motors should come out with some sort of rugged utility vehicle like Sumo, Mahindra Jeeps. So they took lot of parts from Tata Mobile, Sierra Estate and tried to made a concept of this. And originally people thought that no, we should not get into cheaper versions of this, and our image of Tata Estate and Sierra we have to maintain. But however, that ultimately a lot of discussions took place, and we decided to go ahead with Sumo. And I must say Sumo, after it was transferred to ERC only did subsequent engineering with that. Even though production engineering people had done like this, a lot of ERC engineers got involved into that, and they used to come to me and we used to discuss together, and there was a good cooperation between the two divisions, even though it was originally handled up to a point of the concept prototype. Afterwards ERC took over, and I must say Sumo is the next big success of Tata Motors after 407 at that time frame mein. Sumo, after Sumo in that 1312 ton range, lot of new variants we started thinking that we have got made how to get something more out of it. Those days, then we talked about you have big dumpers on the 1312, heavy winds. We made tractors. There's a tractor trailer of 1312 and 1516. We got into that business. That was also doing very well. Even now, rural sector, and that's popular even now. That got into different heavier trucks of what we started as a 1312, 1516. That family grew to almost like 40-45 tons also later on. So very nicely that. Then we got into rear engine models. 1516, the complete frame. We put the engine at the back, and then we sold it to some of the state transports. The buses normally, we had the engine at the front, but we said that in order to reduce the NVH and other things, put the engine at the back. So rear engine buses also was very popular, what we did from here. So that series continued, and in fact we did some interesting things which probably did not come into the market. One is we had a 2 front axle vehicle. Before we went into a heavier zone, we found that there are some vehicles abroad, especially in Italy. Front axle will be 2 and rear axle will be only 1. So that type of concept we made prototypes, but probably it didn't come into commercial things. We did a lot of small special water drilling machine jigs on our vehicle. We took a transfer case and made a power PTO of that. It's a very nice concept. That what is called a transfer case is typically used for 4-wheel drive vehicle. Take the engine drive to the front, and output will take 1 to the front axle and 1 to the rear axle. What we did was, as a concept, we took that reverse, take the input to the top, output or original output of the transfer case, and whatever was coming down, use a pump mounting and try to drill jigs and all that. We did a lot of small work innovation on our own. So we had a good time. Then came the...
You had a 4-wheel drive.
We had a 4-wheel drive. In fact, during Daimler-Benz time itself, we were selling a front wheel vehicle also, 4-wheel drive trucks. No, afterwards we had our own. Every single model of Aviator had a 4-wheel drive version also. But obviously the demand is less. Maybe 90% of our volume were taken by defense. So private individual operator, they don't take 4x4. Even now, I think 4x4 versions are there in every new model, whatever we have created. I think the volumes may not be very high. That's why it isn't come popular. Normal people in India, they don't need 4x4. That's why even in Mahindras, if you see, those days 4x4 Jeep, they didn't sell well. It's a question of need. Why waste money in an Indian concept? That could be the reason. But otherwise, every single version of us had a front wheel drive. Whether it is even 407 we had, 608 we have, even Sumo, they tried to have a front wheel drive, if I remember.
It's an option.
Then came the 90s, early 90s. We have got some sort of experience of what is meant by car and how to get into that probably. At that time, Mr. Ratan Tata, chairman, had felt that probably he thought this is a time we should get into car. What Mr. earlier, the chairman did for 10-member people for 1312, something he had created again for car. It was in 1994. 94. Some 10 people again were chosen. I was from ERC and somebody from growth, somebody from other production division like this, and one man from assembly. He says, let us get into car business. You people go and find out how exactly we have to make a car. So then we were all, the 10 numbers, we were all taken out of the main functions of ERC for 2-3 months. You spend full time and find out, somebody will guide you. So they said that first of all, let us go and find out what are the parts car consists of. You know, this is a front wheel drive vehicle with different suspension, different arrangement, different steering. Everything is different. It's a monocoque, there is no frame. So everything was new to us as a car design. And we have to do it within a given target weights and costs and all that, you know. First of all, we must understand what's a car itself. So me and another people went to Bombay to the Chori Bazaar, that Kolaba, to get some old parts of a car. Buy it from Peugeot something, from the Mitsubishi something, but from Toyota something. Old junk scrap. Buy something, assemble, no drawing, no development, nothing. Assemble which suspension, how does it look like to make a car. So from Bombay, my director sent me there. I collected from the Chori Bazaar a lot of parts. The whole day I spent there. Then I phoned to him, sir, it costs about some 17,000-18,000 rupees. So how to pay these fellows, the shops? So, no, 17,000 I cannot pay. I can pay only 10,000. I said, in the morning till now I negotiated to get only, how can we say so many parts are everything, each one will cost you 7,000-8,000 rupees, how do we do that? No, sir, I can't spend. Then go to Bombay or head office and find out whether they can pay directly there. So I went to Bombay head office. And they said, no, we can't pay, we don't have approval for anywhere else. So finally I came back from Bombay, I told director, these materials are there, let's make a car, please get it, otherwise we can't make a car. I don't know how to make a car from scratch, zero. Then next day our purchase man went, picked up everything, and we took out some engine here and there, and we made a car. In 1 month, we assembled a skeleton frame with one engine, one steering, what all we got from Bombay. Nothing was made here except that cut and put structure, and it drove. We got to put some Maruti 800 car engine we fitted. Then everybody was very happy that the first car with a stress has been made. Then chairman, nobody wanted to tell chairman at that time that we have made like this, because this is not something which can be shown to him. So our director said, let's make a better car next time. So we did something more. This time we concentrate on some portion of front, how to make a better prototype. We made some sketches, no drawings or anything. Next 1 month we made another car. Like that, 3 to 4 months we made 3 to 4 cars.
The parts are made.
Parts are made in this thing. Yeah. Car means not a complete sheet metal and all.
Yeah.
It's like a car, what do you call, skeleton mock-up. Mock-up.
It's like a buggy.
Yeah, it's a buggy. Buggy you can say. Buggy in the sense is a structure will be there and it will rotate, it will go. Like this we made. Then finally it was very happy and it was shown to chairman and he was excited. Yes, I think these people are learning in the right track. He didn't say he's made a good effort or anything like that. So then the team was announced in the sense that car will be made. And at the end of 3-4 months, then he gave his vision of what is a car. He said the car should be as spacious as an Ambassador, as comfortable as a Zen, but it should be sold at a price of a Maruti 800. This is your vision. So everybody was saying, sir, how is it possible, such a big car? But your Ambassador type of big car, you want to sell it at Maruti 800 price. He said, this is what my vision is. So our people sat together and scratched our head, did not know whether it was feasible at all or not. Then still we said we will try, and the team was formed. I was treated as the team lead for the whole project. I was reporting to director.
What was it called?
That's called, Indica it was not called, it's called Mint. That the project was called Mint, M-I-N-T. And the whole, I had about 18 persons in my team, for the design team. All were new to cars. They are all must be 28 to 35 years old in every department. I was looking after chassis and all. There was a body man, there was an engine man, everybody. Yeah, good company wide also. I mean, everybody, company wide things for how to choose a supplier, how to with whom to work. There was a lot of iterations, and it was a very, and we had gone to a styling house to help us in the case of how the thing is going to look like in Italy, called Idea Institute. And we also gone to some engine consultancy. We made our own engine, but we went for some consultancy to help us. We did not go for any collaboration. We did everything on our own, but we took help from everybody, whoever was helping good in their field, and the management helped us to identify where to go and what is available where and all that. So that was a very, very interesting phase of our life. You are working for a project which is never done in India. You know, I remember last month when NASA, somebody, you know, we went to Mars.
Yeah.
At that time, nobody has attempted, India has done that. Every moment of that, I was remembering my experience with Indica. That the whole team was charged that we are on the path to something we are doing first time in India. We are doing, many people have realized that there is something, we may fail, but we have to do that. That type of some sort of a charged up thing was there with everywhere, right from top to bottom. One good thing about that was at that time, there may not be so many projects handled by Tata Motors at the same time. I must say that that is also one of the, today I see a lot of projects, you know, we can't afford to have one project and leave it at this today's environment. Those days, if the company is working on car, the entire company is focused on car. I will not say it's one product, but not more than, let's say, 4 or 5 focused projects. So with the result, every single department was complementing each other, how to do that, how best they can be of some more use. Even the suppliers, they are charged up. You know, many of the suppliers, they are also thinking that first time they are getting involved into a first Indian car. They are doing themselves, they are installing capacities. First of all, they didn't believe that, they thought they are going to import design and use it. Finally, it turned out to be everything, they are going to design it themselves. So it was a very nice feeling of get together in a project, whether it is manufacturing, quality, supplies, sales, marketing, anywhere you touch. That type of thing was phenomenal, I would say that. So we got into the car complete, and before that I forgot to tell you about Safari. That Safari, after the Sumo ended, we wanted to do a luxurious UV.
Yeah.
That all started in 1990, 94, 92, when we started talking about little car. The Safari started earlier. We got into complete computer-aided design during the Safari time. We graduated from pencil drawing board to the computer and CAD in Safari. Safari was the first product to get into that. And the Indica was getting developed, and the Safari was getting completed in their development. And in Delhi Auto Show, Safari was launched and Indica was unveiled.
Okay.
That was 1998, January 19th. Okay, and here I remember one more incident personal to me connected with the Indica project. I always had a fascination for video shooting, photography and all that. I always wanted to get a video camera and shoot on my own. My family said, no, we can't afford a video camera. It was so expensive those days, you know, nothing doing. So they were tying my hands that I could not buy video camera. But I said, I want to buy a camera. I went to Delhi for the inaugural unveiling of Indica. One day before Indica Auto Show, January 1998, the previous day in afternoon, I went and purchased one video camera without telling anybody. I took that video camera to Delhi and I shot the unveiling and launching of Safari myself with the video. I interviewed the people as if I am a journalist. I am like you people, and I talked to many of the people, high-end people. Then I took a video interview of that. I went through all the launching, dancers, speeches by everybody, and took a photo of the next day's newspaper cuttings, made an album out of it and shot that. And I asked some people to sit inside and see how do they feel, and came back, and myself, one of my friends, edited and made a movie out of it. Within the 4th day, I think, I made a video cassette and gave it to my MD. He was so thrilled with that. It was about 1.5 hours car. I edited him to do that. Immediately, on the same night, 12 o'clock, he said, you go, edit it to 45 minutes and bring it back. We went home, edited in his machine, he has got one studio, and brought it next day 45 minutes. He sent it to chairman. You know, these professional people who also took videos, they must have taken at least 1 month to get a edited beautiful video and all that, and this went in 5-6 days with all the thing. Chairman, I was told he liked it very much, and I was told Mr. Rawal, I think is MD at that time, he sent it to government secretary in central government, some people in Chrysler and Ford and all that, India's first car, India's designed car. That video went all over.
This moment is one of the proudest moments, not only for Mr. Ratan Tata, but for all Indians, because the house of Tatas is delivering to India a 100% indigenous automobile, which will compete with the best in the world. It is most heartening that
the key to the first recipient, and then the same with the Safari, which we.
I am very happy that
For the Indica, for the,
shot by me,
for the Safari.
Indica.
The vehicle was there.
Indica was unveiled, a completed
Okay.
prototype was unveiled to the public.
Yeah.
And I will send you that copy of the DVD. I have got that. Okay, and everybody so liked in the first car. I could see, as I told you, tears in everybody's eyes. It's first car. So that was the most unforgettable moment in my life with Tata Motors. So after that, of course, we started with next generation Indigo. Indigo is a sedan and all that. We Mr. Dr. Sumantran, who was the in charge, he came and under his guidance we did all that. Then came Marina. Marina is the next generation station wagon out of this long wheelbase Indigo. So when the Indigo and Marina and all that was getting launched, a new concept, platform concept came into Tata Motors. Platform concept, we have been doing it differently. What it concept means, you know, the underbody you can make it in modules, front module, rear module, middle and all that. Keep on moving position, but use the same, make a different models out of it. This is a very common practice abroad. So many people join together and make one platform, different vehicles. So we started designing platforms. That is how we call it as the Vista.
This was
after Indigo launch.
okay.
When Indigo launched,
Late
2002.
Okay.
1999
Was the
Indica launch. 1999 is Indica launch. 2002 is Indigo launch. 2000 maybe 4 I think it must be 4 or 5 it was Marina station wagon. In 2004 we started talking about platform concept. At that time because Indica was getting older in that generation. So then we started looking at the X1, we call it as X1, X2, X3 platforms those days. The X1 platform, even now I think it's still called X1. We started making Vista and Manza, which are sedan, and of course different vehicles are coming out with the same thing. And X2, that Aria, the new station wagon, and the competitor to that Innova type of vehicle, UVs. UV, we call it as a UR. Then after Aria, now of course we started working on Nano. Nano, when we started working on Nano, I was probably tapering down. It was probably in 2005 or 6 it started. So I was involved in Nano up to a point. And there in 2007, I superannuated as the head of passenger car R&D in the from Tata Motors. Of course, after that, some people have approached me to help them set up their vehicle design activity in their areas. So Tata Technologies also approached me, and as I told you, my vow that I would like to be with Tatas. So that the decision was simpler for me. So I shifted to continue my work in Tata Technology. But having said that, I got still a very close association with Tata Motors. Not because Tata Motors also many of the project Tata Technology is doing now. You see, many of the employees of design office sitting in Tata Motors are employees of Tata Technologies. So I am working for them in offshore area, sitting in Hinjawadi. But I still have a link with Tata Motors. Not only because I am working with Tata Motors and connection with the project, but I was fortunate enough to have such a rapport with all my people below me that even today many of the people simply lift the phone and talk to me in case if there are anything bothering them, is there anything different design, different things which you can come out. And I'm really fortunate for that people are still in touch with me. And the fact that I am also mentoring people in Tata Technologies, I got a very good support of seniors of the current Tata Motors saying that you are there, so you represent us and get things done for us. So I am very happy that I am still associated with Tata Motors. So this is my journey as on today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all the importance and other things you called me. I am very much excited to have been a part of this journey, and I really thank the Tata management and Tata on the top. Thank you so much.
Sir, just one more thing. So would you like to say something about who the future coming engineers are, current management and the future management that will be here?
I can only say one line. Whatever you do, you need to have your emotional attachment to that. If you are not emotionally attached to anything what you are doing, you will not be able to succeed. People used to say, dream high and you do and all that. Hard work and all that, everybody does. What I sometimes feel is the next generation sometimes lacks emotional attachment to what they are doing. Emotion is such a very rich feeling in somebody's life. Without that, you can't succeed. Thank you.